what reason. So I'm going to explain the reason that they've given. I'm going to explain the reasons that are more likely. Donald Trump just spoke about the invasion, and he, tipped his hand as he usually does, and he said outlandish things like, "We are now going to run Venezuela." What in the world is happening? So we've attacked Caracas, the capital of Venezuela. We have captured slash kidnapped the Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro. We've also kidnapped his wife. We say we're going to bring them up on charges in New York. And now we're giving orders to the Venezuelan government as to what they are to do next. And Trump just threatened to do to the next Venezuelan leader what he did to Maduro. And he threatened a second wave of attack. So I'm going to explain all of that to you guys, what we did and what's coming next, and what Trump just said in a press conference he just finished. Now, others are speaking, but Trump is done. So I'm going to explain all that. Remember, guys, we're here for you in covering the news no matter what. We're live every weekday, Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern. The online news show, the online news network. We actually give you the news, then we give you commentary. And so I'm doing this obviously as a special live on Saturday because we just invaded Venezuela, and apparently are now running its government, which is unbelievable, utterly unbelievable. Obviously, we'll give you more details Monday at 6 o'clock Eastern. That's when our show is every day. And by the way, I'll try to give shout outs here to folks who are signing up and becoming members of TYT. And we appreciate you guys so much, and we need you. We do this show together, and we get to be independent, and we get to tell you the truth because we're independent, because of our members. So hit the join button below if you can on YouTube or tyt.com/join. Okay, now let me give you all the details. In the middle of the night, we invade Venezuela. Every time I say it, I can't believe it. So I think that a lot of people assume that Trump was bluffing, as he often does. In this case, it turns out he was not bluffing. And we have attacked. We attacked their capital, and we were able to capture their president. He's now on an American ship headed to New York for prosecution, along with his wife. So now, let me tell you what the next steps are and what Trump said during a press conference he just held. I'm going to read you direct quotes because they are stunning. Okay. He said, "We are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious decision. We're going to stay until such time as proper transition can take place." So we are doing regime change in Venezuela, and apparently we are now occupying it. How are we occupying it? He did not clarify. Are we going to send in? Do we have ground troops who are running Venezuela now? He did not clarify. Are we going to send in ground troops to run Venezuela? He did not clarify. So I'm going to tell you what Venezuela's normal procedure is in this enormously unnormal circumstance. But according to Trump, just now, we now run the country of Venezuela. And he talked about the Monroe Doctrine, and the Monroe Doctrine says that America should control the entire Western Hemisphere. And he said, we're going to do Monroe Doctrine, but by a lot, by a real lot. So he's saying we're going past the Monroe Doctrine. What is past the Monroe Doctrine, where we bully and attack and control all of the Western Hemisphere? I don't know. I don't know what's past that. But he says some are calling it the Monroe Doctrine. Dude, you just did it. No one's calling it the Monroe Doctrine. You just called it that. In fact, I'm calling it the dumbass doctrine, because we can't run Venezuela. We can barely run America. You see what happened in Iraq? Do you guys remember what the last slide was? A lot of this, look, TYT, I'm going to read you more Trump quotes and give you more facts in a second. But so TYT is the first partner channel for YouTube. We're the original YouTubers. We've been doing online video for over 20 years now. We're the longest running show in internet history. And we were on the radio for 3 years before that with Sirius Satellite Radio. So we were literally on the air during the Iraq War. And we were one of only 2 national shows going, don't go in. It's a trap, Admiral Akbar. And part of the reason we said that, there was many reasons, but number one was they had a slideshow, and we were proven spectacularly right, obviously, later about many things. But right up front, there was a leak about how the top general did a presentation about this is how we enter 4 stages. This is how we enter Baghdad. This is how we take control of the capital and of the city, and then who do we put in charge? And stage 4 was, what do we do when we occupy Iraq? And it had 3 famous letters on it: TBD, to be determined. In other words, we invaded Iraq, took it over without a plan on how to run it. And now here comes the Don Road dumbass doctrine coming in going, we're not run Venezuela. Our oil companies are going to be richer. He literally talked about the oil companies being richer. I'm going to give you quotes in a second. Congratulations, Donald Trump's donors, oil companies, defense contractors. Yes, there's a smidge or maybe a lot of Israel in there as well. But overall, the point is donors, donors, donors. And congratulations, I give you the present of an entire country of Venezuela for donating to my campaign and making me rich and famous and powerful. This is insanity. What are we going to do when we're running Venezuela? TBD, to be determined. We don't know. Okay, I'm going to come back to Trump's speech, but first, what I promised you. Nicolas Maduro's vice president is Delcy Rodriguez. According to their constitution, she would now be in charge. And the first lady, Celia Flores, is not relevant constitutionally, but is relevant in terms of perception. She has been kidnapped along with the president. She's also on a U.S. ship. She's apparently also going to be charged with charges. They're pretending that this is about drugs. No one believes that because it's not true. Venezuela is a relatively low drug producing country. There are countries that produce far more drugs, not even close. Venezuela doesn't produce any fentanyl. Fentanyl is what kills most Americans. It is the most obviously fake reason for attacking a country in the history of America. They barely tried. The difference between this and Iraq is that they tried to sell the BS of the Iraq war for over a year, and they pretended there was weapons of mass destruction. They pretended there was links to Al Qaeda. They pretended this and that. They did presentations to the U.S. in the UN, and Trump's like, "Who cares? Let's just take it for the oil companies. Let's just take it. Who cares?" He just doesn't do any of that. He's just like, "Yeah, we're stealing it," with the flimsiest of excuses. And then he said, "Oh, the drugs that they make there are the new weapons of mass destruction." Bro, you already tried weapons of mass destruction as a BS excuse for a war, and everybody hated it and now knows that it was utter horse crap. And now you're calling like the tiny amount of drugs that Venezuela produces the new weapons of mass destruction. Why don't you announce in a Times Square billboard, "I'm a giant liar. I'm a giant neocon. I'm pro-war." This guy was trying to win a peace prize a minute ago. FIFA gave him a peace prize. What a bunch of pathetic losers. By the way, the Nobels these days is no better. The Nobel Peace Prize went to someone who wanted to topple the Venezuelan regime. She talked about doing it with force. She then started weirdly talking about doing it for Israel. It's insanity. It's insanity. She doesn't deserve a peace prize. She was literally trying to start this war. And now there's talk that she might be the new vice president. Now that we've done a war for God knows what, for oil companies, for other countries, etc. I'm going to get to the transition order in a second. Logosan saying, "Who is he to determine this?" And he claims that he's the president of peace. No, Trump is literally saying we could run any country in the world. This is beyond the world's policeman. Now we like attack countries with almost no justification instantly and say, "We're now running your country." How many countries can we run? We can barely run America. This is the least America first thing there is in the world. This is the least anti-war thing there is in the world. Trump has become a full-blown neocon. Even Steve Bannon yesterday called him Hillary Clinton because of what a neocon he is. So this is very different than the Iraq war in a way that is super important. But first, one more super chat here. Amith Bravo Sierra says, now the U.S. will have a lot more immigrants from Venezuela. Remember this. 100% it's also going to make the immigration situation much, much worse. Look, difference between popular opinion during the Iraq War and the apparently the Venezuelan war that we just started last night is that back then, Ben Mankiewicz and I, co-hosting the Young Turks, were the one of only a handful of people screaming into the abyss, don't. Amy Goodman deserves an enormous shout out from Democracy Now! She was one of the others, one of the brave voices saying, "Don't go in. It's crazy, right?" But we were overwhelmed. All of the media was like, "Oh, we're going to be greeted as liberators. It's going to be the greatest thing that ever happened. Rah, rah, war." And I saw Don't Pretend to Lie, CNN, New York Times. They all cheerleaded for it. They're like, "Yes, a war for oil and Israel and disgusting tragedy we're going to lose thousands of men. Who cares? We're going to lose trillions of dollars. Who cares?" All of American media declared universally. And when we went to war with Iraq, 69% of Americans, 7 out of 10 Americans, believed that Saddam Hussein had personally attacked us on 9/11. The reality was Saddam Hussein hated Al Qaeda because Al Qaeda was trying to topple local governments like his. He would execute Al Qaeda on the spot. Everyone in American media was giant liars. They lied to the American people on purpose to get them to believe that Iraq attacked us on 9/11. But the reason I bring that up, guys, is at that point, 7 out of 10 Americans believe that Iraq actually attacked us. At this point, when we do this senseless war against Venezuela, only 25% of the country believed what Trump was saying and thought that we had any kind of issue with Venezuela or needed to attack them in any way. That's a giant difference, including half of Trump voters saying, don't go. What are you doing? We said anti-war. What are you doing? We said anti-neocon. What in the world is this? So that he's already going in with such enormous unpopularity into a war he has no idea how to handle. Okay, there's so many folks doing super chats, and I appreciate you guys. Saglogo S said John Bolton was so happy in his latest interview. Yeah, he's pulling a John Bolton. He is John Bolton now. Maybe he'll grow out a little mustache too to become a full neocon. So look, I'll get to more comments in a second, but let me tell you about the transition. The constitutional path, so-called Article 233 in Venezuela, it says in the, quote, absolute absence of a president, and that's what they have now, the executive vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, will take over, and we'll have to call an election within 30 days, and the new elected president then serves a full 6-year term. Now, are they going to do that? Well, this is an extraordinary circumstance. If I was them, would I then call for an election 30 days afterwards? That's kind of rewarding the invasion. I would say, no, we're in the middle of a war, right? So I don't know. I don't care what they do internally. I care about America. But like, if America thinks, oh, this is easy, we'll be greeted as liberators. And they literally said before the Iraq war, they'll throw roses at our feet. And if they're saying, oh, they're going to throw roses at our feet now, well, I hope so. But that's not usually how it goes at all. Robotic Person wrote in, pardon the president of Honduras for same drug crime. I'm going to get back to that because it's actually, that drug crime was way worse. That's another reason why it proves it has nothing to do with drugs, but it doesn't really matter because Trump already said that he did it for the oil companies. So I'm going to get back to that quote too. So let me give you all the facts as quickly as I can. So now the opposition candidate is Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia, and he ran in the 2024 election. The 2024 election was likely fraudulent. I don't know that Maduro actually won that election. And there's a lot of fraudulent elections throughout the world. And I don't doubt that that Maduro would mess with the elections. That I feel that's for the Venezuelan people, and I feel bad for them. And I wish there was a peaceful way to help them. But I have no idea who won that election. And we don't know if this guy won either, but we want this guy in charge. And the person who won the Nobel Peace Prize is Maria Corina Machado. And some are saying that she is likely to be the next vice president under Edmundo Gonzalez. Now, are they really going to say, okay, America, you win, run our country, we give everything over to you, there'll be no insurgency, we surrender, okay, we're weak and have no national pride, and we'll never fight back? Maybe because the country's a mess, and the Venezuelan people are hungry and frustrated with their own government. But probably not, because that's not usually how humans behave. Usually humans fight back and then it becomes a mess. So if fact theory says Maduro's biggest crime was meeting Chinese diplomats. So yeah, we're mad that he was selling oil to China. So what did he say about the oil companies in his press conference? Trump just now. Um, he said, and this is amazing. Um, we're going to have very large American oil companies go in and start making money for the country. What is this? What is this? So there's one difference between Iraq and this is that they spent a long time building the case for Iraq. Here, they've spent almost no time building the case. The Iraq war in the beginning was very popular. 70% of Americans wanted it. In this war, it starts very unpopular at 25% and is likely to head down. And I don't think Trump understands what's headed in his direction next, because he's surrounded by neocon, uniparty establishment, Israel first, like all of the worst. He's collected them. And Stephen Miller, Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, all of them are like, attack everyone, attack all of Israel's enemies, grab the oil, steal the oil. Remember, your donors want the oil money and this and that. And he's like, oh, yeah, it'll be easy. It'll be easy. You'll be, we'll call it the Don Road Doctrine. And you'll get to King Trump, you'll get to rule the whole Western Hemisphere. Don't worry, there'll be no consequences. He's like, oh, I'm going to be king of all the Western Hemisphere. There's going to be no consequences. Yeah, all right, let's see how that turns out. And now this dumbass, the second difference is now we're saying, basically, as we're going into the country, this is a robbery, like the beginning of Pulp Fiction. We're getting up on the diner table and announcing to everyone, we're coming to rob this country. It's brazen. It's an illegal invasion, and we're here to take their oil and give it to who? The American people? Hell no. Hell no. Did you get the oil from Iraq? Did you get the oil from Iran when we did this in the 1950s to Iran? Did you ever get anything from any of these wars? You got a lot of dead Americans. You got $8 trillion in debt for global war on Israel's enemies. But no, this isn't for the American people. Oil companies, multinational oil companies are going to benefit from this, not the American people. They're going to get cheaper oil and they're going to sell it to you at the same price. And now, because of this instability, maybe not even a higher price. So they're going to get the oil and they're going to get the extra profits from the instability that this creates. So they're like, yes, bribing. And yes, it's legalized bribes here in America. And if you're not from America, you're probably stunned. But America, unfortunately, has become the most corrupt country on earth because our Supreme Court legalized bribery. They are allowed to give hundreds of millions of dollars to our politicians. So the oil companies have given an enormous amount of money to Donald Trump. They're like, okay, now, boy, do as we tell you, right? But even so, even the oil companies are like, I don't know that we want Venezuelan oil. But Trump's like, no, we're going to go steal their oil, okay? And I've been commanded to attack Venezuela, so I'm going to attack Venezuela whether it makes any sense or not. And he goes out in a press conference and says, this is a robbery. We're going to take their oil, and the multinational oil companies are going to profit from it. And you suckers are going to pay the bill, America. This should be an expense for ExxonMobil. This should be on their in their budget. But instead, we're going to pay for it. We're going to deal with the consequences. And ExxonMobil and Chevron and all those companies are going to make a literal killing. Why? Because they bribed Donald Trump. And it's every politician gets bribed by every donor. We can't negotiate drug prices. What kind of free market capitalism is that? We're living under the oppression of donor rule. They're mainly corporate donors, but now there's foreign government donors. There has been apparently for a long time. And so let's go on to the rest of the plan because it's disastrous. So we're going to run it until a transition takes place, he says. And he gave the BS excuse of drugs. So let's go to that. So there's almost no drugs coming out of Venezuela. It's a tiny amount. None of it is fentanyl. Meanwhile, though, what did we do earlier? Well, we had captured the former president of Honduras, Juan Orlando Hernandez, who is a massive drug dealer. And we had a trial, and he was convicted in America. And in that trial, witnesses said, yeah, we run drug cartels, and we picked him out of obscurity from a little village in Honduras because he would work with us to hand the country over to drug cartels. He ran one of the biggest drug operations in history, and Trump pardoned him. Trump was like, oh, you're one of the worst drug criminals, drug runners in the history of the world. You're free to go. And now you're pretending Venezuela was about drugs? Get out of here. Oh, I heard somebody in Venezuela was smoking weed, so we attacked to take their oil. What's your plan to keep it? I don't know. I don't know. I'm the dumb road doctrine. Stupid ass. So why did you let go Juan Orlando Hernandez? So guys, if you want to know why, because Hernandez is right wing and is working with is willing to work with the CIA to rob the people of Honduras. Not for American benefit, but for the benefit of whoever the F the CIA is working with, for corporate benefits, for private benefit, for the people who are secretly running our country. No American wanted to go and invade Venezuela. We do not want to run Venezuela. We have no interest in that. But it doesn't matter because our government doesn't represent us at all. Before they captured the Venezuelan government, they captured the American government. And they are forcing the American government to serve their purposes, the donor classes. And they don't give a damn about the American people. So he said, if anyone does not follow our orders going forward in Venezuela, what we did to Maduro will happen to them. So maybe his dumb plan is, all right, we're not going to put any troops on the ground, but we just kidnap people every once in a while. We bomb their capital, etc. And we tell their vice president what to do. If she doesn't listen to what we do, then we murder her or we kidnap her. And then we put in a puppet. And then if they don't do it, we kidnap or murder them. And we put in another puppet until that puppet goes, yes, ExxonMobil. Yes, Netanyahu. Yes, Lockheed Martin. I will do exactly as I am ordered, sir. And I guess that's their stupid plan. But usually things don't go like that. They get a lot messier because people get pissed when bombs start dropping on their heads. All right, Methodical Marcus, thank you for joining TYT. Hit the join button to get truthful, honest, independent news. So right now on CBS, they're probably talking about, oh, this was a great coup for the Don Road Doctrine. Netanyahu is super pleased, and all the oil donors are super pleased. Bravo, Mr. President, is probably what Barry Weiss is forcing people at CBS News to say right now. I love you, members. Thank you for allowing this to exist. Trump said this was, quote, an attack for justice. It's the exact opposite. He said the Western Hemisphere is safe now. It's the exact opposite. He says we retain all military options if Venezuela does not comply. He talked about this is core to our national security. It is only going to harm our national security. It has nothing to do with our national security at all. Was Venezuela about to attack us? Was this a preemptive strike? Come on. No one is stupid enough. There's not a single person in the country who's stupid enough to think that Venezuela was about to attack us or was a national security threat for us. What an obvious, preposterous lie. But as I told you earlier, the dumbass has no control over his mouth. So he told us already, oh, the oil companies are going to make a lot of money. I read you the direct quote. And he said, iron laws have determined power. So he thinks like we're apparently in the what he means by that is no, not international law, iron law, as in I have an iron battleship and it's going to kill you. And now there is no international law. And so, by the way, China's got to be thinking, oh, okay, we could just illegally invade and take any country we like. So I guess I'll take Taiwan. What are we going to do? Say that it was illegal, that it was immoral, that it's against human rights? We just took Venezuela. So, no, we can't say anything to anybody anymore. And he said, we want peace, liberty, and justice. This is none of the above. Peace is not war, no matter how Orwellian you want to make it. Boxy Brown 6900, thank you for gifting a membership. Cheesy Finger 79, thank you for gifting 5. You guys are amazing. I love this community. Does this look like justice? It doesn't look like justice to me. And so right now, Maduro and his wife are headed to New York for prosecution. the reporters asked Trump, "How are you going to run the country?" And he said, "We're going to do it a small group." Marco has been on the phone with the newly sworn in Venezuelan vice president, and she's willing to do. And then he's implying that she's going to play ball, but we don't know that, and he doesn't know that. When Marco Rubio was speaking, he said something absurd like, "If you don't know, now you know." No, Marco, we don't know anything. So, by the way, that should also be mentioned. Oil is a huge factor. At the end, Israel came in and said, "We want you to attack Venezuela." They're in cahoots with Iran. The Nobel Peace Prize winner is like, "We're going to do this for Israel." So Israel got into the mix. But remember, there are also other factors. Defense contractors always want war. So they're like, "Yes, more war, kill people so we make a profit," right? They're the worst companies in the world. Frank Thorne, thank you for being a premium member, brother, saying Stephen Miller told Trump he's Caesar. He probably did. Trump's a child. He's a total child. "You can be Caesar, Donnie." "Oh, yeah, we're going to call it the dumb road doctrine, and I'm going to be Caesar of the Western Hemisphere." You idiot. How are you going to tell? So now you're going to tell the vice president, "We're going to murder you unless you do as you're told," and she's going to follow along. Okay, but what if anything goes wrong? Maybe he's just the luckiest man in the world and nothing goes wrong, and the Venezuelans all bow and go, "We bow to the new Caesar of the Western Hemisphere. You can do anything you want. Rob the place blind. Who cares about our own stupid people? Rob us of our resources. Do anything you like." Maybe, but that's a low percentage chance. A much higher percentage chance is people get pissed and they start fighting back. What if there's one general who goes, "I'm not going to take this. Let's go with my battalion. We're going to take the capital. We're going to take the palace because there's a void in power, and America come get us." Or we're going to, there's a million things that could go wrong here, guys. What are we doing running Venezuela? And so, the other factor, thank you, JHS for 82, for reminding me of it, is that Marco Rubio is a Cuban extremist, Cuban American extremist. And the Cuban American right wing community here in America are like, "Topple Venezuela because Venezuela helps Cuba." So the Cuban Americans want it. Israel first wants it. No one else wants this war. And the Cuban Americans and Marco Rubio, who is Cuban American, is thinking, we topple Venezuela, then Cuba's even more isolated, and then we topple Cuba. How many countries are we going to invade with the anti-war president? No, look, at this point, tons and tons and tons of Trump voters get it. But if they didn't get it, now they'll be more clear. It was always a lie. He was always the establishment. It was another wolf in sheep's clothing. He was always uniparty. He was always a con man. He was always for war. He was always a neocon. He was always going to listen to his donors because he's obsessed with money and fame and power. And the number one thing Donald Trump is obsessed with is Donald Trump. He's a narcissist of epic proportions. And if they still don't get it after this attack, and like I'm saying, we already have polls saying 50% of his own voters didn't want this. Well, soon it'll be a higher number the minute anything goes wrong in Venezuela. If something goes wrong and then it starts to devolve, forget the left wing. Trump is going to have to deal with the right wing because they're going to be in a fury. This is the exact opposite of what they were promised. Disco Stu says Trump's going for the Nobel Colonialist Prize. So he's going for every kind of prize. So, guys, obviously Monday, 6 o'clock. We start the show at 6 o'clock Eastern every day, every weekday, Monday through Friday. Monday at 6, we're going to have enormous updates for you guys on this. But for now, Trump has said we are running Venezuela. The oil companies are going to get rich. Those are direct quotes I read for you guys. And last thing that's important. He said, and we are ready for a second, much larger attack. We assumed that a second wave would be necessary, but we probably won't have to. This was pinpoint, but we have much bigger wave that we probably don't have to do. So he's saying, A, we thought they'd strike back more in the first assault, and B, we're ready when we order them to do as America, or not America, this has nothing to do with America, as the fraudulent neocons running this country who've also kidnapped this country from us. As soon as we give you orders, if you don't follow the orders, we're going to keep attacking and invading your country on behalf of all of Donald Trump's donors. So they've been warned. We've been warned. Apparently, there could be a lot more military involvement. Apparently, there could be ground troops. There were troops on the ground already because that's who kidnapped Maduro in the middle of Caracas. Eclectic, thank you for being a member. Thank you for reminding us. Remember the populist spike. Who means it? Who means it? When we say anti-war, we mean it. When we say get the goddamn money out of politics, we mean it. When we say higher wages for Americans, we mean it. Lower drug prices, lower housing prices. For God's sake, give moms off 12 weeks. Every other country in the world does it, but we don't have paid family leave because our politicians don't care about us. They only care about the people who bribed them. So today, the criminals, the corrupt in America, the bribers have won. They now have a whole country because they apparently bribed Trump enough to start the most illegal, senseless war I have ever seen. So now let's see what disasters ensue from here on out. And there will be a lot of disasters. That's my sense of it. That's what we thought was going to happen in Iraq. And now trying to run all of Venezuela from outside of Venezuela is not going to work. And the minute we put troops in and insurgency is going to start, it is going to be a hot mess. And the dumb road doctrine is not going to have any freaking idea how to solve it. And he's going to devolve. No matter who you vote for, you always get a neocon. Why? Because the donors rule everything. Until we get money out of politics, we're never going to stop the wars. We're never going to get lower drug prices. We're never going to get higher wages. We're never going to get anything for the American people. Instead, the super rich and the super corrupt will get everything, everything, no matter who you elect, until we get the money out of politics. So that's our populist plank, the 6 things that I read you. That's the populist left. Those are the guys who've been fighting for you from day one. We restarted a group called Rebellion PAC, led by Rokana, to make sure that you have an alternative in elections. Those guys don't take corporate PAC money. They don't take foreign government money. Their job is to only serve you. So populist left is the only option you have left. And we've been the ones that have been true from day one. Monday at 6 o'clock. I love you guys. We'll see you there.